Hey everyone, this is Carmen Luccio, and we are at the Tree of Life Mystery School and Crystal Dome Retreat Center just outside of Nelson, BC. And we're going to talk to Joseph Mark Cohen about crop circles. So come with me. So, Joseph Mark, how did you get so interested in crop circles?
That's a big question, Carmen. I've been going to Britain, to the stone circles and the megalithic circles, and to Ireland, and to Machu Picchu, and I guide trips to Egypt. And I'm very interested in what you could call the mysteries. And the core of that is the work that I've done in Kabbalah, which involves a tremendous amount of work in sacred geometry and looking at sacred geometrical form, pictograms, languages, as ways of communicating energy, spiritual energy. So when I first was aware of the crop circles in the late 80s, after the 1987 harmonic convergence ceremonials that I was involved with, I don't think I went for a few years, but I kept tabs with them, and I believe it was like very early in the 90s, maybe 91, that I went to the circles in Britain, and it changed my life. I was I think, the first 7-sided crop circle. If you want to bring your camera up, it's the one over here. And it is heptagonal. And it was huge, maybe 3 football fields wide, biggest volume of space. And I was fortunate enough to be there within, I think, a week of its coming down. I wasn't there the same day, but it had a very big impact on me. And I believe in a certain sense that a level of channeling opened up to me simply by being in that crop circle. I had dreams afterwards. I saw some sacred geometry in the dream state, guides. So the crop circle, aside from being just an extraordinarily joyful and high vibrational experience, it is just tremendous joy in being inside of it, something began to be downloaded into my psyche. And since that time, I guess I've been to Britain 8 times in total. And each and every time I have been delighted and have had new experiences every year. And there's a community of people that show up for the British crop circles every year. And I was fortunate enough to have Steve and Karen Alexander as my friends from very early on, from conferences in Glastonbury. And most of what you see here and the cards in the crop circle oracle card deck are photographs that have been aerial photographs taken by Steve Alexander, to whom I owe quite a thank you.
Oh, wow. So tell us about this deck.
Well, it took me about 2 years to meditate and gather what I felt to be the most major of the crop circles. And then I had to select and sort them based on their number symbolism. So it's easy to see if you say just go down this one pillar. This one is the number 1, which is the opening up of the 5th world. This is the number 2, and it's the Vesica Pisces. Then we have one in early spring barley, which is based on the number 3. This one you have a medicine wheel with 4 circles around a 5th. This is the pentagonal 5th circle, the hexagonal 6th circle, which the Japanese called in. It was origami. This is the 7th, the heptagon that I was in. This one you'll see, if you look carefully, there are actually 8 circles, but you have to see it in with your 3rd or 4th dimensional lens. Each of those is a sphere, a volume sphere. So it's a packed star tetrahedron of circles. This one's an Enneagram of 9, and this one in the beautiful purple-violet borage is connected to 10, and very much like a Kabbalistic diagram for the Tree of Life itself. And so it goes up into the 78th circle here, which was 2 years ago in 2008. And I am planning to add an addendum deck for 2009, 10, and 11.
Nice.
maybe even 12 if we can squeeze it in.
Now, out of all these different crop circles, which one really stands out to you? Which one do you think is one of
Oh,
the
that's
most
so
significant?
hard. You know, there's a half a dozen in here that I have had personal experience in, maybe more, that I love. This one is obviously the one that turned, you know, there was a lot of media suppression, disinformation, thinking that, you know, a few beings with boards in the middle of the night could create crop circles. Well, this one came down after 3 days of rain and is the mother of all crop circles, really. There were 409, plus the circle itself, 410 circles. It looked like craziness on the ground, but when you get the aerial photograph, you can see it's a beautiful flower. Some people thought it was a peyote button. I look at it as basically a little bit like Nassim Haramein. That would be like the wormhole at the center of a tube torus vortex, like that.
Wow.
So the crop circles contain, they point to some of the new quantum physics or post-quantum physics that's coming in. They point to a movement between dimensions. If you happen to be interested in Kabbalah, this one, the 26th, if you look at it carefully, it's called a radiating tetractys, which was a symbol that Pythagoras wore, which is exactly the symbol that I wear in my pendant. It's 9 triangles surrounded by a 10th, and that is the old version, Pythagoras style, of the Tree of Life. And I have, you know, there are people that believe that the crop circles are created by the Arcturians, the Pleiadians, and I tend to agree with some of the people that connect the crop circle to the Arcturian energy.
Nice. And what do you know about the Arcturians? Why would you connect them to the Arcturians?
Well, both in terms of looking at star maps, and Guy Otwell is certainly my favorite source for that, and looking at what stars are near to us, and then the information that came through Edgar Cayce, J.J. Hurtak, others. Arcturus appears to be the dimensional gateway into our sector of space. And if you look deeply into the Celtic mythology and look at the North Star and where Arcturus is in connection to the Great Bear, before we even looked at zodiac, we had the zodiac as a deep mythology, as in Arthur's Round Table. There was King Arthur and the Round Table, and Arcturus being a circumpolar star was very, very important in Neolithic civilization before ours.
Oh wow. So what exactly, you told us briefly when you went to that first crop circle and you were inspired to pursue researching crop circles, but what does it feel like inside the crop circle?
Well, you can feel the shift of energy probably about 5 feet or 6 feet or 10 feet before you enter a crop circle. And then once you've entered into it, where the wheat, the canola, the barley is impressed, likely by a plasma beam coming down and in 5 or 7 minutes creating that, you feel that you're entering into a different dimensional field where you lose track of time. Video cameras and cell phones and many technological devices will not work in a crop circle. There is an energy there that's an extra dimensional energy, and you feel like you're a dolphin playfully swimming in a field that's just joyful. And there's many synchronicities that happen. Last year I was in a field, and as I was walking in, I met a friend of mine who I hadn't seen for 30 years. I had taken him to purchase crystals in Tucson, Arizona at a gem and mineral show 30 years before. Hadn't seen or heard from him since, but it was a wonderful synchronicity seeing my friend Barry again. So you just meet a community of people, and there's synchronicities, soul contacts, and there's a magnetism to the crop circles that attracts people that from all around the world.
Nice. And so how does the deck work? It's an oracle deck.
It's an oracle deck. There's actually 78 cards in it, and it goes from 1 to 78, and each card has a particular oracle on the back of it. Why don't you give me a number between 1 and 78, and I'll pull it out and share it.
23.
23. Oh, you're an interesting one. There's 23. That one came down at a place called Icklington in Britain, and it is the first, how should we call it, fractal, and it was a Mandelbrot fractal, Benoit Mandelbrot, and it blew everyone away mathematically, because you can see how it, you know, what is in the first one here replicates here, and in fractal mathematics, you're at the border crossing of form and chaos. So this one, as the number 23, it's the border crossing between the creative alphabet of quantum physics creation terms, the first 22, which are the tarot trump, or the 22 letters of the Hebrew Phoenician alphabet, and then the 23rd introduces a new element, a new energy. So if someone drew this, I would suggest that they were at a new creative moment in their life, but they would be experiencing some chaotic energy because their old model wouldn't hold all of the new energy coming in, something like that.
Oh.
Okay,
So what's the oracle on there?
The oracle? It goes, hover at the border crossing between order and chaos right now, with a little subtext that says, renew your passport.
Oh, wow.
The renewing of the passport has to do with, you've got to have the consciousness codes and the right perceptual lens to move from one state of consciousness to another state of consciousness, or from one dimension to another dimension, like that. Now, they're not all quite that complex, and I had a great deal of fun writing the oracles, and I cribbed, I cribbed on the I Ching, I cribbed on the tarot, but I had to make it new. And personally, I believe that the crop circles are really the language connecting us to our star ancestors and form the, how shall we say it, the tarot for post-2012. So it's an ancient new vibrational geometric energy language that recapitulates the pictograms from the Hopi and the native world and Hebrew Kabbalah and Egyptian, and of course the Mayan is there, and yet it takes from the old, but it strips away the religious dogma and allows us to just open up and see the unity principle, the spirit behind the traditions that have been on our planet for the past, let's say 26,000 years, maybe 13, like that.
Nice. So if people are interested in purchasing a deck, how do they get one?
Well, they can go to my website, www.treeoflifeschool.com, and just click on Crop Circle Oracle Cards. And I suppose if they're in North America, they can call my voicemail at 888-633-2214.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Joseph Mark.
My pleasure, Carmen.